Fitness is a program. I want to say a CrossFit program, but it's so much more than that. All right.
I think that a big thing with, this whole group is just the sense of community.
The Redemption Road Fitness Foundation is a CrossFit program that is fundamentally changing the way reform happens in and after prison. With around 2,000 volunteers and participants in over 4 affiliated and 11 in development prisons, RF2 teaches healthy habits through mentorship and accountability, giving participants the opportunity for a better life.
Redemption Road is at its core a culture-changing program. What we do is we take excellent people that have demonstrated that for decades or years at a time, and we help them by giving them the tools that they need in order to make a difference in somebody's life.
I volunteer for RF2 because I found CrossFit in prison and it saved my life. And when I see what they're doing, it is a program in prison now, saving other people's lives, and not only saving other people's lives, changing the whole dynamic of how prison works. That is something that I want to be a part of, because I've never seen anything do that before. Never. There's something to this.
It gives them an idea. It gives them a belief in themselves. It tears them down first, and it builds them back up into stronger, more intelligent beings by learning to think under pressure, learning to deal with others on a different level, and you find out and pushing yourself, and it changes you from the inside out. The alternative is really drugs and gangs.
Everyone's coming together. Everyone, they're suffering together. They're putting in the work together, and there's that bond that gets created. So I think just a combination of all those things. I think with the program they're doing, it's going to be life-changing.
Along with building healthy habits while incarcerated, the RF2 community also gives members the support they need upon release. Our members proudly have a 0% recidivism rate.
They are thriving, they are working, they're part of their community, they're building relationships, they're living on their own, they're doing everything they should be. And I hope they're happy. I think they're happy. They seem happy.
Bam, we're live. Yo, everybody. Wow. Wow. Good to see you guys. Holy cow. I was like, maybe I shouldn't play that. Maybe YouTube will give me a strike. Then I was like, whatever. Fuck it. Strike, schmike. Good to see you guys. Trevor, what's up? Nick, what's up? Audrey, what's up? Taylor. I think the only person I've met here before is Taylor. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. My camera won't flip to my front camera on my laptop. I'm going back and forth. It's on the
Don't worry, it's a live show. There's only 1,200 people watching. Don't worry. They like this part of the show.
It's like backwards. I'm like, what the heck?
Hey, go to there's a little gear, Taylor, at the
yeah.
At the
I'm
bottom,
hitting it and I'm changing. I'm
and then
changing
you go to
it
camera. You are.
Yep. Yeah, I'm hitting front camera.
That's a pretty fancy try back camera.
Yeah, I'm on the rear camera.
Oh, are there any other choices?
You guys want to see my office? I guess.
Hey, that's a pretty fancy computer that has a front and a back camera.
Yeah, I was lucky. I got nice.
That must
computer.
be like a PC or something. Audrey, is there any way and it's not vital, but is there any way you could turn your camera this way, your phone this way?
You just flip it.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, now I'm upside down.
Oh, okay. Maybe your screen is locked. Do you know how to unlock your screen?
Okay. Yeah, if you can. There we go.
I'm going to. Is it okay if I exit and try to re-enter?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Technical difficulties while we're live.
Yeah, it's fine. They love this part of the show. Crazy. Last time Taylor was on, he was also holding a computer in his lap, and that was a show 72. That was like 2,000 shows ago, which is just wild for me. Kind of a little bit of a reality check for me of how much I've been getting at it. Tell me the name of the program, Audrey.
It's Redemption Road Fitness Foundation, or we'll use RF2 for short.
A Redemption Road Fitness Foundation, 0% recidivism. That's wild. Yeah. Congratulations. And Audrey, what do you do there? What's your role there?
I'm the treasurer for the board.
Okay, so you watch the money.
Yep, I do all the money stuff.
And how did you get involved? What was your connection to it? What brought you to these waters?
So my friend Liz, who I'd worked out with for a long time, found something on Facebook that they were having an event, and she just kind of made an announcement before our class. And I kind of had an idea that this was going on. I didn't really know anything about it, or even that volunteers were allowed to come in, and just kind of on a whim decided to just do it. And that was almost 5 years ago, and still here.
Did you have anyone behind bars in your family?
No.
You're a religious woman?
No.
No, just felt that.
Just decided.
Why do you think you do it?
Yeah, just decided to do it. I don't know. It's always, I read an article in our local paper, and I thought it sounded really cool, and just didn't know that there was an opportunity to go in and do it, and had never done anything like that, never been to prison, didn't know anyone in a prison. And just kind of decided, well, like, screw it. I guess I'll just try this. And I think we had about 12 or 15 people from our gym, and I felt really comfortable going in with all those people, and I had a wonderful time and decided to keep coming back.
And has it been 5 years of fulfillment? What's your 5-year assessment of being involved with the program?
You know, at the end of the day, we're all just people. And I just kind of found it really unfair that we judge people by really their worst moments, and that people can really overcome those. And they're not just that one bad decision or those couple bad decisions. And, you know, you can just really make a connection with people. And it's always just so fun going in and talking to people and having common ground and a community. And that's really what it's all about.
Chris Biesterfeld says you need to be audited. Okay, we'll get on that after. So, Trevor, what's up, dude? Good to see you.
Hey, good morning.
And what's your role with Redemption Road Fitness?
Well, originally I was one of the first couple guys who got started with it. It was me, Nick, Damian, Brandon, about 6 other guys. I've just kind of been doing everything since then. Right now I'm on the board, and pretty much all the board members, we have different titles, but we all do just whatever's necessary to keep things going. To think that Audrey is simply our treasurer would be a sad understatement of everything she actually does for us. Liz, she's like our volunteer coordinator, but she handles so much more than just that. And so like I help a lot with like getting our message out, trying to get us some money, but more than anything, it's just continually repping our program, trying to make sure people out here know what we're about, what we're doing, why we do it.
And Trevor, how long did you do? How long was your stay in jail?
I did 26 and a half years.
Wow, you don't look old enough to have done 26 and a half years.
I got locked up when I was young.
Wow. How old? 17.
And
how old were you when you found the program?
So I always kind of started with my own journey in the very end of 2016 out at Lyman Correctional Facility. Our friend Chris Harris, who became one of our main coaches early on, created a team competition.
And he was in too. He was an inmate also.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was in. He's still in. Still part of the program. And just before RF2 existed, guys like Nick and Damian and them have been doing some CrossFit. Me and some of my friends have been doing some strength training with a little bit of CrossFit to it. And Chris Harris created this cool, it was like a 2 or 3 day competition. And there was really only like 3 teams, but it was like 3 teams of 4 or 5. And it was a real blast. And right after that, Damien and Cruiser kind of built up on that and started developing some stuff that ended up turning into RF2. So that's pretty much where I feel like I got started with it. I think Nick and Damien and Brandon Cruiser might feel like it for them. It started a little bit earlier with some of the things that they'd been working on.
Hey, Trevor, so if I did the math right, if you were in for 26 and a half years and it's 2024 and you started in 2016, this is very complicated. I'm going to say that you didn't find it until you were already in for 18 years.
Yeah. And actually, what really got me into it was I read First. Brandon Cruiser had a copy of First. I read First, and then we watched the games. And honestly, me and my friend John Willis, who's like my best friend that we worked out with together forever, we were so impressed with what the women could do. We were like, we have to get involved in this because there's something to this.
The women inmates, you were impressed by what they could do, or videos you
No,
saw?
actually just watching the women in the games.
Okay, yeah. That's crazy. That's what got me into it too. I saw a video called Nasty Girls.
Yeah.
Back in 2006, and I was like, what is this? This is crazy. This is nuts.
Right.
Yeah, it took
They're very inspiring.
Yeah, and it took 10 months to figure out that first muscle up. Hey, what's the name of the book that you read? I want to see if I can find it on Amazon. It's just called First?
Yeah, by Rich Froning.
Oh, wow. You read that while you were in prison?
Yeah, I read that in like 2016, just before I started getting involved in the actual doing CrossFit.
Who gave you that book?
Brandon Cruiser had it.
No shit. Wow.
Yeah.
And I remember Brandon from the first time. Is he still in?
Yeah, Brandon's still in. He's still doing everything he can. Our state prisons have gone through a lot of changes since COVID, and there's been really serious staff shortages. So all of our programming has had to evolve, and they've had to find different ways to stay busy and stay focused, getting things done. But he's still there. He's still working super hard, trying to bring positivity and community and inside.
I was just this morning. I was watching the first podcast I did with Brandon and with Taylor and with John, and he said he was supposed to get out in 2045.
Well, I mean, that might be what the sentence has on him right now. I don't see Brandon doing that much time.
Yeah, it would be nice. In California, they're just letting everyone out. You could pretty much do anything. It's just a free for all. It's the purge. Maybe Brandon can get in on some of that. He could just get out. You just be like, yo, you're good. You're good. It's fine. It's good.
I would love to see it. There's actually a lot of guys inside who have done a lot of really good work and have reformed themselves so thoroughly that it's a shame that they're still incarcerated at this point. It's not serving any sociological benefit or purpose.
Man, we need to talk about that too. Nick, what's up, dude? The Prez, El Jefe. Oh, I think you're mute. You might be mute. I think something's off with your mic. Can you guys hear Nick? I can't hear him. No, sir. You see that gear down there at the bottom? Let me see it. Is there you guys behave in the comments, please. You guys don't read the comments. Do not read the comments. So it's a wily bunch in here every morning. Look, they're already calling us the Brady Bunch over here. No, sir. We still can't hear you. Can you hear us, Nick? Oh, that's good. Well, that's going to be a great show for you, a lesson in listening. Maybe go to you're unmuted. Let me see. Go to the gear and then hit the audio. Did you do that? And then did you just try any mic? Did you try a variety of mics? Anything? Do you have a phone? Do you want to jump on with a phone? Okay. And then could someone text Nick? Taylor, could you text Nick the link so he has awesome. You demand, dude. And I'm looking at you guys now, and none of you guys are behind bars now. All you are out. No wonder this was so easy to do. Last time was fucking crazy.
Actually, in the last 2 years, a
Yeah.
bunch of people who've been involved in our program have gotten out and are doing really, really well. The CrossFit community has been super receptive. A lot of our guys, if they got their L1s or L2s inside, have found at least homes in some CrossFit gyms, if not jobs. Most of our guys who have their L1s and L2s have found work in CrossFit since getting out.
Oh, Taylor, is that the posse that's gotten out, or is that the crew that's inside right now?
That is most of the can you guys hear me? Just in
Yeah,
case I'm not-
great question.
Yeah,
Great
just in
question,
case.
Taylor.
I'm gonna go on this whole thing and then like you guys are like, hey, you guys what? Yeah, we've had like a mass exodus, a great mass exodus from Department of Corrections, especially with like some high level members in RF2 that help start it or have been like kind of pivotal in its progression and where it's at right now. So that is a barbecue. We do one of those at our buddy Mike's house. I mean, I've been each year, we only done 2 years now, but for about 2 years, that was this last one that we had, and everybody in there had done probably close to a decade, if not double that. I was, like Trevor, and there's a few people in there. And even the first year was a little bit bigger, but because now everybody has jobs and things like that. So trying to get the barbecue together is hard.
Taylor, when you were on the show last time, you were in, and you were the guy in the middle, and you had a laptop. What ended up happening with your sentencing? Did you get out early? Did the program help? Did it play a role in you getting out, and did you get out early?
Okay, so the criminal justice system is complicated, so I guess I'll break it down as easy as possible to answer that question as best as possible. Because of RF2, I didn't necessarily get out early, but I did. So objectively speaking, from like a law standpoint, no. But subjectively speaking, you basically, there's no like, the only way you mandatorily get out, like California is a little different. You were making jokes about California, but when their like parole date comes up, that's their parole date. In Colorado, it is a subjective parole date as well as community corrections. Therefore, if your community corrections date comes up, they're like, yeah, your date came up, but it's up to us still, right?
What's the community corrections date? What's that? What's community corrections date?
So halfway house. So it's kind of like a transition where you go to a, it's still a facility. It's still a facility, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It's a halfway transition point, right? So you're still in a facility. You have to stay there overnight. You check out. You are still actually a DOC inmate, right? So that being the case, you only have X amount of freedom. And also, if you have any years hanging over your head, the moment you mess up at a halfway house, you still have all that time hanging over your head. So I had a 28-year sentence. I got out after 11 years. Therefore, I still had about 17 years hanging over my head, right? So if I messed up during that period of time, I would have had that whole 17 years to do still, right? Nick, I think we're getting a little feedback from you. Can you mute your mic?
I think that's you, Taylor, because I muted him and it didn't go away. I think you're good, Nick.
Okay. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Taylor was trying to blame you, but we're about to find out the truth here in a second.
Yeah, it's his MO.
Did you? So unmute yourself, Taylor. Okay, go ahead. So did you go to one of those houses?
I did, and the point with me bringing that up was I did get out first try, and actually the halfway house actually asked me to come to their facility, which is not a thing, right? They were like, "Hey, would you come to our place and like do some, because RF2 is how they know about me, right? I do like presentations for community corrections, which is halfway houses and stuff like that for our program. And I kind of handle the transition aspect of it, which is just people that were incarcerated, helping just people get out, as well as all of us do that. So it's not just myself, but inside I was kind of trying to coordinate some things. And so they asked me to come to that place, which is their halfway house. And so first try, I was able to exit prison on the first date that I could have possibly left. So yes, RF2 did help me get out.
Yeah, something's going on with your audio. Can you choose a different mic, or do you have? It sounds like someone in there is sharpening pencils for a living. Is that someone's occupation? They have an electric pencil sharpener they're running in there?
No, I got nothing going on in here. I got no fans going. I got no.
That's weird because you looked at the floor like you had a kid. Like that's the look a parent gives when they're like, "What are you doing?"
I got 3 fur babies, but no kids.
Okay, all right,
nice.
Hey, what do you think? So you were in there, and your date came up. Your date came up, or the halfway house knew about you and they forced your date.
So my date came up. There's nothing that the community corrections people can do.
Okay.
Out the legislation of like your time compensation, but they still did kind of force their hand in how quickly that happens. Usually getting out is a process, and they moved me right to the top of the list because of RF2 and things like that, and hopefully helping get them into their facility and kind of run some groups. I still to this day run CrossFit groups every single Saturday and like every other Monday and some Fridays. There's an affiliate called Wild Horizons in Fort Collins. I still hear that feedback. I don't know what is going on.
Do you have a phone?
Do you have a phone? Yes.
Yeah, you want to try coming on with your phone?
Sure.
All right, awesome. Nick, you're the president. You're El Jefe.
I am. I'm El Presidente, El Jefe. How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, my pleasure. Thanks for doing this, you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, the first show I did was everyone's like, hey, that was your best show ever. And that was like 2,000 shows again. And then my sister, Nick, was like, hey, you should have those guys on again. I'm like, okay. And then she said it again. I'm like, okay. And she kept bugging me for like a couple months. So then finally I connected her and my producer, and I'm like, you guys figure it out. Like, I'm too busy at the beach living my life.
Yeah.
And then here you guys are. And I'm stoked. I'm really stoked my sister and Matt did this.
Yeah, it's super cool. I remember listening to the first show. I was still incarcerated, and my boss was cool enough. We went up to her office and pulled it up online and got to listen to it. And yeah, it was a great show. I really enjoyed it. And I'm out now. Obviously, I'm free, and so I was absolutely super happy to be invited to come back on your show, or
How
come
long
to
were
your
you?
show.
How long were you in?
14 years.
And small time. So you're like you had it easy.
I had it easy compared to Trevor for sure.
Crazy. And how old are you?
44.
And were you in the same facility that John was in from the first show?
Yeah, so Trevor, John, and I, Damien, and Brandon Cruiser, we were all together at Lyman Correctional Facility. Kind of started the whole program together, working out. We were friends beforehand for years and years. And yeah, we were all together, just kind of all into fitness in our own different ways. And the program kind of just evolved from our friendship, and it's grown so far now that yeah, I got out. You know, I started CrossFit in 2012, 2013 is when I started really getting into the CrossFit world. I actually saw a Reps magazine that had Richard Froning on the front. And yeah, I was trying everything. I was at the time when I was sentenced, I was like 400 pounds. So I was trying to lose weight. I was trying to just find an avenue of fitness. And all these magazines were lying to me about 6-minute abs and all that stuff. That wasn't working.
Nick, you were 400 pounds in prison?
Yeah, in the county jail.
Okay.
And then, yeah. And so my friend Damien was doing CrossFit, and I just kind of looked at him and I was like, man, this guy knows what he's doing. It looks like way funner than doing 5 sets of 5 on the bench press. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to get involved in that. And so him and I started just doing CrossFit together for a while. I lost 200 pounds, and yeah, Richard Froning's magazine kind of like sealed the deal. I was like, these guys and ladies are killing the game. And so we started doing CrossFit, strength training, doing all sorts of, different exercises. There was a show on PBS called The Fitness Truth, which will always stand out to me because a guy in Chattanooga, Tennessee had just a small gym, and he would go over the whiteboard session, and then he would go over the workout of the day, and then they would just show clips of people working out, and then they would show afterwards everybody kind of laying around high-fiving each other, and we would just go out and mimic those workouts. And it really just became a way of life for me.
Have you guys met Rich? Any of you guys met Rich?
I met him last year at the games, actually at the airport. We were on the same flight from Madison to Chicago, and I got a chance to let him know what what he meant to me, and the direction my life went just from watching his career from afar.
Trevor, have you met him? Have you met Rich?
Nah, I'd love to meet Rich though.
Yeah, I think we're going to be meeting him in when we get back from the games. He'll be up here at the Leadville 100. But
yeah,
Ben
he's been
Bruss,
riding his bike.
yeah, Ben Bruss is. I did the Mayhem Missions podcast, and I'm pretty good friends with the guy that runs that. And so I think we're trying to figure out a way we can get him into a facility and coordinate that right now.
Dude, that's awesome. Man, he is a cool dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you know, they say you don't want to meet your heroes, but when you meet Rich, he does not disappoint. Yeah, it's truly wild. And so how long were you in before you found CrossFit? It must have been early on if you were still in the county jail.
Yeah, so well, I found CrossFit once I got to prison. I started fitness when I was in the county jail. I was arrested in 08. I spent a couple of years in the county jail just fighting my case. I had a large amount of burglaries and motor vehicle theft and stuff like that. I was addicted
Thank
to
you for
drugs.
sharing that, by the way, because everyone's like, "What's he in for? What's he in
Yeah,
for?"
you can Google it. That's all over.
Yeah.
Nonviolent theft crimes. And I was addicted to drugs for a very long time, and which brought me to a life of, stealing stuff to get money. And once I was arrested, I came down off the drugs and I just replaced one addiction for another. So I started eating a lot, and I gained a tremendous amount of weight. And then I knew I was going to prison the rest of my life because Colorado had a habitual criminal law where they give you 4 times the sentence once you've been arrested. It's a drawn out process. But
How many times were you arrested?
12 or 13.
Okay, all for the same thing, like getting caught stealing or drugs.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, all for the same thing, drugs and stealing. And finally, when I got my 60-year sentence is when, so I went to Lyman Correctional Facility in 2011, and that's when I met Damien. So I started CrossFit right around the beginning of 2012. And by March of 2013, I was down 200 pounds, which was cool. So,
hey, I spent several years being homeless, and it was by choice. And of the 1,000 people I met when I was homeless, there were only 2 of us who weren't drug addicts. Of the other 998 were all drug addicts. And what's fascinating to me, and this is just a little side of social commentary, the news and politicians keep talking about homeless people. And I wish they'd understand that they're not homeless people. And I'm curious what your take is on this, Nick. They're drug addicts, and the profession of drug addicts is because of the hierarchy of their needs is stealing. So their vocation is stealing, and what they do is drugs, and then that causes eventual mental illness along with the paranoia of being a crook. And they're not even interested in that. We're not even interested in housing, or they weren't even interested in housing. It's basically their job sort of sets them up to where having a home is a low on the priority. Like a normal man wants housing and a girl and food.
Yeah.
But when you're in drugs, you kind of kick the girls and food and housing out, and that's why when you drive by those encampments, there's just loads of other people's bikes and tents, and you just see other people's shit piled up. Is that kind of your assessment too? I wish they would rename it as like, hey, we got to get people off of drugs so that they'll stop stealing. And then once they're off of drugs, they'll reprioritize getting their own housing.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're exactly right. The hierarchy of needs is way different when you're a drug addict. So your drugs are obviously the very top, like that's priority number 1. And then obviously getting the drugs is priority number 2. So without like a 9 to 5, because if you just had a 9 to 5, you'd probably be sober and not doing those things. So your 9 to 5 is stealing. And so those are your 2 highest priorities. Yeah, housing is at the very least of your concern, is like somewhere to do drugs. And if you can just find that on the street, then that's what it is. And so, yeah, I agree with you 100%. I believe that homelessness is a direct cause from drug abuse and mental illness, which should be addressed. I always find it ironic that every Monday you watch the news. I quit watching the news, but you can see on the news that, like this movie just topped the bestseller, and they spend, we raised $500 million on a Friday night to watch Star Wars, the 19th edition. But you can never raise $500 million on a Friday night to combat mental illness or drug addiction. And so those things, you're happy if you get like a $10,000 donation. And it's really sad state of where we're at in the world, like because it is mental illness, and it is. But once you get clean from the drugs, like I was addicted to drugs for 14 years, and my paradigm has completely shifted to sobriety. And I'm obviously the president of this company. I work for another nationwide nonprofit called the Phoenix, which deals in recovery as well. And your life can change. Your life can switch from having that focus of drug being your hierarchy to a regular hierarchy of needs, which is, family, shelter, food, career paths and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think it was a lot of attention and focus instead of just like driving by and saying, oh, that those people are just worthless, which is a lot of the attitude that you have in the world. The world could be changed, drastically changed, if we put in the work.
And the problem is that the people who have the means don't have any friends who are homeless, and so they miscategorize it, right? Because they're told. So that the awakening, I put myself in that world, and when I was in that world, then I was enlightened. But most people don't even know that, right? Because they don't even, when they see a homeless person, they don't even make eye contact with them. They don't even recognize them, right? It's like when they see the guy at the freeway stop asking for money, they don't even, like, you don't have to give him money. You can just look at him and recognize him as a human being and wave at him. Be like, hey, dude, what's up, man? Hope shit gets better for you. I mean, that's all you have to say to him. That's what I do.
That's what I do too. I do keep ones in my door, little pocket on the side of my door, just to give people that, especially when it's raining and the weather's crazy. I'll help out. The only kicker I got is when they're smoking cigarettes. That stuff's like $10 a pack. So if you can afford cigarettes, you can afford some food. But
Nick, but aren't they going to use that? I don't ever get here's my thought on it. And I'm not trying to fight with you. I'm just, my feeling on it is I want to reward the kid at Starbucks or at the local coffee shop who smiles at me and looks at my kids. And I want to give him and says, hey, how are you today? And I want to give him that $1. When I give that money to that person who's on the street, I feel like I'm voting. Gandhi said, begging's a profession. It's the worst profession. And so, like, I feel like everyone's providing us a service. And so you keep those ones there. Look at me. I'm about to analyze you, Nick. You keep those ones there and you give them that money because it makes you feel better, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
But then aren't they going to just go spend that on drugs? And like, then maybe you're encouraging them to stand there. Or you're like, fuck you. Sure. I don't care. I'm doing it.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. At the same time, I'm still going to help them out. They're still human beings. And so.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah. I'm here to help.
Jake Chapman, Gandhi was a crook and a fraud. All right. Well, thanks for destroying one of my heroes. Same with Mother Teresa, charlatan. Well, great. You guys are really
these comments are great.
We're off to a great start. Judy Reed, I tried to give a homeless guy a granola bar and he went off on me because I need money, not that scared the crap out of my daughter in the back. Yeah, one guy, a homeless guy said, hey, I just need food. And I went back to my house and made him a sandwich and I gave it to him. He's like, fuck you. He wanted money. I was like, all right, I get it. And how did you become the president, Nick? Mr. Wells.
Yeah, sorry.
How did you become the president?
So, like I said, I had a 60-year prison sentence in 2019. We put on the first competition ever inside of a Colorado correctional facility. First really CrossFit competition ever inside prison.
And that was with John and Taylor and Brandon?
Yeah,
they were all
John
there too?
and Taylor and Brandon. We were all there, and we invited 30 people from the street to come in and compete with us, and we got randomly paired up with our partners. It was just like any other comp you see out here. We had 3 workouts and a floater, and the lady I got paired up with that day, her name was Violetta Chapin, and we ended up winning that comp that day, which was cool. I've never won anything in my life, not like I wasn't really on sports teams or anything like that, so it was like the first thing I had ever really won. So I was already like kind of high on winning a competition. And then about a week later, I got a Christmas card from her. And about a week after that, she called the correctional facility and my case manager called me into his office, handed me the phone, and it was her. And she asked that, well, basically she just told me that she had it on her heart to get me out, and that she was a professor of law at the University of Colorado in Boulder.
Sorry, Nick, this is the viola chick you partnered with?
Yeah, Violetta's her name. And so she had called up, and she just had been thinking about it since the competition. And she asked where I was at in my legal proceedings. And the only thing that I had left was clemency. And so we spent the next 2 years writing a clemency petition and petitioning the governor of Colorado, Jared Polis, for clemency, for a commute. And
clemency, I looked it up. It means mercy and lenience.
Yeah. So that's exactly what it is. You're just saying, hey, this is what I've done with my time. This is my sentence. And here is a case, like maybe you can reconsider that. And the only person that really has the authority to do so after your court of appeals is the governor. And so on December 30th of 2021, he granted me a clemency, a commute. And I was ecstatic, obviously. And so I went through the parole process, and I got out. I walked out a free person on May 10th of 2022.
How many years did that take off your sentence?
About 10. I had about 10 before I saw parole, before I could actually go through the parole process. So about 10 years.
And what do you think was the critical component of getting the clemency?
I think our program. I think the basis of our program of helping the fellow inmates achieve, obviously our mission statement was to change prison culture through mentorship, accountability, and community. And I think that we've done just that. I think that the men and women that are in our program, they're mentors, they're leaders, they're changing that prison culture from gangs and drugs to one of friendship and fitness and like-mindedness. And that coupled with a lot of the mental health peer assistance work, and there's just a lot of stuff that went into it. I didn't get in any trouble when I was in prison. I stayed away from the violence, the drugs, and all that. And so RF2 being a huge component of that, our work, Trevor, Taylor, myself, John, Brandon, Damien, every one of those guys have really just put in a lot of hard work, extra hours from sun up to sundown to make the program what it was. And I think that our governor kind of just recognized that. And that, I had a 60-year sentence. There was no one was hurt. It was nonviolent crimes. And under a regular circumstance, I probably would have got 12. But with the habitual criminal law, I got 48 plus an added 12. So, I think that it was the right thing to do in my mind. I'm free, obviously. And I think there was a lot of hard work that went into it. It wasn't just like a handout. I think the 120 people that applied that year for clemency, there was 2 of us that got it. So,
wow. What were the 3 components? Mentorship, accountability. What was the third thing?
And community.
Hey, another question off topic that I'm going to judge you severely on, like the dollar handout. When someone's on the side of the road and they're on heroin, would you agree with me that no one wants to be addicted to drugs, or for the majority of people you don't want to be addicted? Like you dabble in a little meth with some friends, it turns into a week, a month, a year. Now you got your own little kit Altoid container with credit cards and razor blades in it. You're smashing rocks. You're not even interested in, you used to do it just to have sex with a bunch of girls. Now you're not even doing that. And just this shit just goes sideways quick, right? It just becomes chasing the drug instead of like a accoutrement to partying. Do you think that is there value in picking those people off the street and putting them in jail, like just like 2 weeks here or a month there, so that they have an opportunity to get off the drugs? Is there any value in arresting the people? Because I think if I was an addict, I from the outside, I think if I was an addict, I would want it, or if my kid was an addict, I would want them to be picked up off the street. And I know the system isn't set up for this, but it'd be nice if like one of my kids was on drugs and the cops could pick him up, and for 2 weeks he could be just put in a holding cell and just at least have like a dry cell, a moment to like maybe get some clarity. Am I just in dream world, or?
Yeah, no, you're not in a dream world. So that's what I was getting at. Like we arrest them for their drug use and their mental health issues. And so firsthand, the only way I got sober was by getting arrested and having that tremendous amount of charges and time. Because I had been in and out of jail. I'd go do 2 weeks here, a month there, 10 months here.
Would you sober up in jail or would you get high in
Yeah,
jail?
no,
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't really sober up. If drugs came through previously, I would do them. But once I got this time and I was like, really had this like pivotal moment in my life where I need to sober up. When I got sober, the only reason I got sober was because I went to prison and that I had that mindset change. I believe wholeheartedly that going to jail saved my life. The person that I was committing burglaries with was shot and killed by the police not too long after I was arrested. So I know that's where my life was going to go. And that was another huge pivotal moment in my life to keep me sober and to change my mindset. I agree with you 100%. The person on the side of the road doesn't want to be doing the heroin. That's just where they're at. I would love to say that I speak for everybody when there's some out there that are like, this is my life. This is what I want to do. You know, they get pissed when you hit them with Narcan. I keep Narcan in my trunk just for that reason. But, you know, a lot of people don't want to be in that situation. They want to have a normal life. They're just addicted to these drugs. And so if we had a system where we could take them to a detox, to take them to a place, the problem is once you start getting into the system, now you're getting either deeper and deeper and deeper, and you're digging yourself a hole where you're going to go to prison because of a drug addiction. You're going to do these things, and now it's a huge burden on the taxpayers. If there was a different system where we could pluck them off the street, get them sober, have that mind switch, like, you know, a paradigm shift for them, and get them interested in a different avenue of a different outlet, right? Like I found fitness became my outlet, keeps me sober every day. And so I think that's what's needed for sure.
Yeah. It seems so easy. I'm sure the bureaucracy is so thick, but it seems so easy. Like you do a pass by an area where there's like just a bunch of, you know, like 300 homeless people, and you pull the van up and you're like, hey, anyone who wants to get off drugs, jump in. And you put them in a fucking 2-month boot camp and you try to sober them up, and you just fucking drill them military style. Right. And then, and then you come by and be like, hey, and if you don't jump in, we're coming back in 2 weeks and we're going to fucking run all your names for vagrancy. And then you grab those guys and you put them in a program for 2 months and you just start the fucking program. And then you let them out. And then if they reoffend, you put them in the 4-month boot camp. And if they reoffend, you put them in the 8-month boot camp, especially the dudes who are just like walking around, you know, on trank or bent over. Like just grab these fuckers, because they're people's sons and daughters. And I know they don't want to be. Same thing with prostitution. Just those girls aren't those. No one wants to be a prostitute. Just grab those fucking people and put them in a fucking boot camp for a month and give them just a shot to get their own clarity, you know. And yeah, it's wild. It seems, especially when there's people like you guys, who you know, with the 0% recidivism, it just seems like a fucking no brainer. Like, hey, just run just massive exercise camps.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's it. I mean, our 0% recidivism is based off of our coaches. So when people are interested in our program, we have a criteria. Taylor, you probably articulate this way better than me. But if you want to go ahead and tell them, Taylor.
Let me ask you one question before we get to that. Who was the governor that gave you clemency?
Jared Polis.
And did you ever meet him face to face?
I have not met him face to face. I have gone back to his office and was able to sit down and talk to him about like Brandon Cruiser and a couple other of our friends. So I get to meet his lawyers quite often. I've met all the members of the Clemency board that signed off on my clemency. I've met them individually at functions. You know, I'm actually going to do a CrossFit workout with one of them coming up on July 4th. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, I would love to meet him. I mean, he's got my vote no matter what.
What state?
Colorado.
Hey, how cool is that so that's like probably the biggest gift you can give back to the guys who are in doing the program, is going back and be like, look, dude, I'm the product, because it makes them feel good too, right? You're like, hey man, I'm the product of what you supported.
So absolutely. So that's why I go back in. I'm a volunteer for the Department of Corrections. I go into I would say I go into about 10 facilities. One of them being like Taylor and I went back and did MRF at Lyman Correctional Facility back in May. And to go back and see the guys that we lived around for, a decade and a half. Trevor was there for 20 years, 20 something years. To go back and give back, it gives the people hope. It gives the guys that are just new to our program, anything can happen. Look, Trevor had a life sentence. I had 60 years. Here we are. We're back in our regular clothes, bringing a group of people in to do MRF. And that's how it starts, with a little bit of belief that you can change your situation. And really, when it comes down to it, like, you're the only one that can change your situation. So anything is possible, right?
And it's got to be a pretty inexpensive program as far as programs go.
I mean, yeah, except for CrossFit equipment, it's not cheap. Like a rower's $1,000. All that stuff's $1,000.
But I mean, relative to the money that's probably flushed down the toilet in big bureaucracies of military, prison, it's just drops.
It's pennies on the dollar. If you invest in some equipment, they buy $40,000 worth of garbage equipment like treadmills, and that break down in a day or two. They put all these weird equipment into the yard. It's like, I don't even know. It looked like playground equipment, but they spent 40 grand on it. And I was like, you guys could have spent 40 grand and given me the list, and I would have got you guys something that's going to actually do something for the population other than just sit there and rust. And so, it's relatively inexpensive. It's just fitness.
And Taylor, hi, what's up, dude?
What up?
Yeah, good to see you again, man. Good to see you in your situation you're in now, instead of with a laptop in a jail cell with 3 other dudes.
Yeah, it's definitely different. Definitely.
Congratulations. How long have you been out?
So a little over a year. What was cool, actually, Trevor had his year mark yesterday. I didn't actually realize when my year mark passed. Must have been just kind of busy with my head down grinding, but just a little over a year, about a month or so. So out of the halfway house. So I haven't been a DOC client for about 6 months.
Okay. And you were, I think you were gonna say something about the recidivism rate. What were we talking about, Nick, that I stopped you from pitching to Taylor?
Oh, Taylor can talk about it. Like, our program, we develop our coaches, and we would love to say that everybody that goes through our program, like all the participants, that we have a 0% recidivism rate, but that's just not the case. But the guys that we develop, that do our coach candidate process, that become coaches and that have gotten out, none of those people ever reoffend. So Taylor, take it away.
Kind of. So we actually don't have 0% recidivism rate either anymore. But that being the case, that's just I don't like the statistic being like, I love the statistic, but it's not going to last, right? And my point in saying this isn't to say that our program doesn't work. I'm just saying that perfection isn't necessarily the goal.
Right.
But to contrast, like, it's such a stark contrast. So the national recidivism average, and this was like, I think the statistic pulled from 2 to 4 years ago, so it might not be completely accurate today, but it's somewhere probably around there. Nationally, we have 74% of people within the first 3 years that exit any correctional facility in the United States go back in their first 3 years, whether that's jail, whether that's any kind of justice setting, they recidivize within the first 3 years. In Colorado, I think it's around 52 or 54%. And so even our rate is probably like 2%, right?
Okay.
2% recidivism. And that's just a byproduct. I don't like that. Like, we're not doing this because of a statistic. We're doing it because it works and it changes lives. And even the people, if they do later on down the road, that does change a little bit, we know that we had a huge role in their lives of changing them into a better person. And so that's what usually I like to kind of focus on, is saying that that's just like a small piece of just us doing our job and just helping people and continuing to help them. Actually,
you could argue that, though, of all the programs out there, that it has the lowest recidivism rate by far. It's like this program they have a CrossFit program for juvenile delinquents in Ohio that CrossFit Crave does. And like, I don't think they have 0 either, but it's like crazy low. There's no other program that's as low as theirs. And by the way, the big component to it is that they make the parole the probation officers work out with the kids, and I think that's got to be just huge.
Yeah, I wouldn't even have to argue
right?
that our program has the lowest. We
Right.
could just like state that like
Right.
objectively that I would say
Yeah.
that is definitely the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know when? Sorry, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, go ahead. I think I lost my train of thought. So you got one right there. Go ahead, take off on it.
I will always lose my train of thought, but there's another thought right behind it always. When you so you're in, and when you get out, do you know that you're going to continue with the program? Like, is this life for you now? You may not be in prison for life, but this is going to be life helping guys on the inside.
So yeah, I guess I could tell you a little bit about kind of what we do. So you were talking about picking people up off of heroin. I want to go back to this because
Please, great. I like this subject a lot. Yeah.
So boot camps. You're talking about boot camps, exercise boot camps. So Nick does it a little differently because he works with the Phoenix as well. So RF2 is just like it's like the roots of us, right? And the branches and like the personality of us, we sometimes have to filter into different jobs just to be able to pay the bills.
Right.
So Nick is doing that fantastically through the Phoenix, right? Which is a
Is that the
program.
foundation? I know it's the Phoenix Foundation. They have CrossFit gyms and stuff too, and they help people. If you're sober for 24 hours, you can work out for free. Okay, I know that.
Yeah, that's it. Same.
I've visited some of their gyms. Okay.
And then
I think they gave Greg Glassman like their Person of the Year award one year or something. I went to a big ceremony.
Yeah, for sure. That's the same organization.
Okay.
And then me and Trevor work as recovery coaches or peer specialists or whatever you want to call it for the same company. And so Nick was talking about being a mental health peer assistant inside. So we've been doing this work inside people's lives, and it's based on our job, our credential that we actually have. It's called a peer specialist or a recovery coach, right? That's how I pay the bills, and that's the job that I do outside of CrossFit as well, like coaching classes and things like that. So we help people that are in addiction, and we create the path that's best suited for them. So instead of having to take a street sweeper and sweep up people into jails and facilities and correctional facilities, where I bet the statistic as far as them using again, right, is very, very high, right? Because that boot camp's only going to last so long, and motivation is fleeting. But to be able to teach people discipline, now discipline is just doing what you don't want to do, or doing what you want to do when you don't want to do it, right? So our job is to work within justice settings, and we take people and we help them if they're addicted to any kind of substance and they're in the recovery for as long as recovery is, right? They could be on recovery for 3 years or 1 hour. And I work with people individually, and I teach workshops to help people stay sober and also kind of acclimate to their new life outside of incarceration. And that, I feel, is the new way of, instead of locking people up, helping people find a new path and a new light, and teaching them life skills that they probably once knew, but kind of just like reintegrating it into their the front part of their brain, or like the something that they can use immediately to help kind of guide their path away from drugs. And give them something to fill that void. Because too often when people get put in a facility, they take addiction away. It has to happen unless there's drugs inside the facility, and even then that's a little more expensive than people can probably afford when it's in a facility, right? So the addicts get sober, but they get sober and there's a void there, and that void only gets filled if they find something passionate about it. So our job is to kind of fill that void with either fitness or CrossFit or some kind of passion like that, so that they're not just saying, hey, I'm not using anymore. They're instead saying, I don't have to use because I have this new fuel, this new passion, this new light for life. And that's kind of what we do as recovery coaches. And then we bring the RF2 banner into that. And so I work with an affiliate here in Fort Collins. It's called Wild Horizons. And the guy that owns it, the affiliate owner, his name is Ryan Garcia.
Wow.
And he is the coolest.
It's not the Ryan Garcia, is it?
No, like the fighter?
Yeah.
No, he sends me memes and stuff all the time and says, gosh, he's making my name look bad. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Yeah, because there's some silly videos of Ryan doing some funny stuff. But the other Ryan, right? He has been involved in CrossFit for, I think he's had it as affiliate for 12 years, 10 years, something like that. So he's been around for a while. He's a little bit of an OG in the game. And I got out. I met him as well as one of our other coaches got out, and we created a connection. We're like, hey, guys, we're just getting out of prison, and we really want to do CrossFit. Is it cool if we come here? I don't have any money, but I would love to clean the gym and do whatever you need so that we can just get some wads in. And I actually got it out in the middle of quarterfinals, or right before quarterfinals started, and this was last year. And he's like, Yeah, dude, I'll coach you and judge you for quarterfinals. I got to do the third open workout there as well, but then I qualified, and he's like, anytime you want, because I had a pass system because I was still in the halfway house, right? So I could only leave at certain times, and nobody on level 1 is usually allowed to leave to the gym in a halfway house. But I just talked to the people in there, and I was like, hey, I qualified for this competition. It's like top 10% in the world, which is kind of cool, and I would love you guys' permission if I could go to this gym. And this gentleman's willing to come in outside of his work hours at random times so that I could complete all 5 tests. And he did that. And I was able to go there. And then ever since then, he created this program where we raise money for anybody getting out of prison within their first 3 months, that they have 3 months free affiliation inside the CrossFit gym. And then after that, we'll see where their financial stability is, right? If they can afford it, cool. If you can't, we'll still work to donate. And we raise more than enough money. More than enough money. Yep, there it is. There's the gym. And you'll see all my Instagram videos probably film there. I like to make some cool workout videos. That's the background of that. But that's the affiliate. And we try to do that everywhere we can, right? I know Nick has a fantastic establishment in Colorado Springs with Decimate, and I know Trevor with Mock in Aurora is doing the exact same thing. So this is not like just unique to me. This is just our team members getting out, creating the connections. And when people hear about this, it's like almost undeniably like, yep, okay, I gotta help here, because like this is a calling. This is what CrossFit is. This is the community aspect of what CrossFit is. And Ryan's done a fantastic job of allowing people to get out and create continuity of care by allowing them to do the thing that they loved inside and keeping that passion alive, right? Even though it's a different landscape, they keep that passion alive. So that way they don't like get back into criminal thinking, continue to use, blah, 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 fill in that blank, whatever they were doing. You get complacent or you get into a new uncomfortable scenario, you usually go back to your old way of thinking, right? If we can create a smooth transition process from exiting incarceration into being able to fall into exactly what you were doing inside, right? I'm coaching people squats. I'm saying pull hips back, right? Right. Okay, with a hinge right here, I want to keep your barbell along the legs. This is what I know. This is how I communicate with people, and this is how I've established these healthy relationships that don't want that make it so that I don't want to use anymore.
Right.
Let's do that again, right? And so all these gyms that we work with, all the owners are like, absolutely, you guys can come in here and keep doing that. This is fantastic. I love your guys' program. You guys are doing fantastic things. And then they feel loved and they feel welcomed at a point in which their life, they're not too sure of me getting out after 10 plus years. I don't know if the society that I hurt originally is going to accept me. Right. But then when I go into the CrossFit community and everybody's just as welcoming, accepting as they were inside, if not a little bit more, maybe, right? I feel welcomed and I feel secure in like my new environment. And then I'm like, okay, cool. I can keep progressing. I can keep striving to be a better person. I can keep teaching people how to deadlift well. And, that transfers to their life.
Hey, what a great explanation. You're right, Nick. Good job recognizing that in Taylor. So your lives overlap. So if you don't have this program in prison, you have this really isolated, unique lifestyle that occurs in prison, and you get out and it's like the only thing that you do the same is maybe you eat, and breathe. But you come out and now it's kind of, there's an overlap and there's a place where you recognize, okay, I did this here and I can do this here. And it's a place to get your feet grounded. Hey, you're telling me that you sent an email to this dude, Ryan Garcia at Wild Horizons, and was like, hey, dude, I got out of jail. I'm in a halfway house. Can I come over and use your gym? I'll clean your bathrooms.
No, we just showed up. Me and my friend David.
No
we
email.
Just showed up to the gym and we just were like, what up, yo? We do CrossFit too, right? And when I showed up, I was in the middle of the open. So I was like, hey, is it cool if I do like the third workout here, like the third 0.3?
And your buddy didn't work out there either? Your buddy didn't work out there either?
No, he got out just a little bit before me.
Wow. And was Ryan looking at you sideways and shit? Like take a step back and look at you corner of your eye, or?
No, not at all. He was very accepting. He's a man of few words. He doesn't say much. He almost just grunts as a yes. He's like, like this. Very burly, and he's military, right?
Okay.
He's military. So I feel like he understands a little bit of it, even if he doesn't, in a certain sense. Because some people that come from the military understand.
There's a captivity component to that too, to the military.
Yeah, exactly. And he's just like a person of high character. So he looks at somebody and they're, they make a lot of money. They might drive a Mercedes Benz, but their character might be trash, right?
Right,
And then
right.
and then this individual that only has one T-shirt to his his name, just has and maybe not me. This was the other individual I was with because he met him first. He sees this individual and he only owns 2 pairs of shorts and a T-shirt, and he needs to borrow Ryan's Noble lifter so he could do some Olympic lifting correctly because he can't. And so Ryan looks at him and says, "Oh yeah, this person's about it, right? No matter where he comes from, no matter what lifestyle he had before, he comes in, he makes sure that everybody's well taken care of in the gym. Like we go around, we high five, we don't clean up until the whole workout's done, little stuff like that. Whereas the other person who might not seem like somebody that you would side eye, those are the people cleaning up, not even saying later, peace." Taking off before everybody's done with the workout and then kind of doing their own thing. Whereas like I look at this as like my own escape and just a way to continue to keep a healthy mindset and then bringing other people into it because everybody's fighting their own demons too, right? Just because they didn't come out of prison. If you're in that class and you're doing thrusters and burpees for 21:15:9, there's something wrong with you. You've been through some stuff and you've been hurt. You know what I mean? So like, if I can be there for you too, right? You got your own demons that you're fighting, even if you work at CSU as a professor or whatever the case may be.
Brandon Lecoq. Nick was great. I competed at the Colorado Springs event last year. So this guy ran into you, Nick.
Yeah, so we hosted a fundraising event. We always call it Redemption Road Watch Fest, and the owner of the gym I managed for a while and coach at CrossFit Decimate in the Springs. We hosted it there, and we brought people from all over the state and HWPO came in. They programmed the workouts for us. Jake flew in for the event, and
Jake Marconi.
Yeah, Jake Marconi. Yeah, he came in for the event. It was a lot of fun, but yeah, Brandon was there competing, which was super cool. I saw that in the chat. Yeah, I would like to also shoot a shout out to Alex Escada. He's the owner of CrossFit Decimate West and East. Now we have a new location in St. Pete, Florida. But he hired me before I even got out of prison. He sent me a JPay letter basically telling me that I could put him down as a parole plan for my work.
Wow.
And gave me a place to go the day I got out. And, I started just like fixing rowers and painting walls and stuff. And then I started coaching. And then he actually moved to Florida and left me as the manager. There's a lot of trust there that goes into a 250 member gym with 8,000 square feet. And, it was in my mind, like, it was exactly like there was no better avenue between the Phoenix and Decimate. Like I had a community of people that were like-minded. And that's the transition that we're trying to establish in all of our communities. Up and down the Front Range, Fred Dayton from Mach 983. He's welcome to our coaches as well. The owner, I think her name is Michelle from Park Hill CrossFit. She has our coaches up there as well. John Brown, seminar staff. He is just at an L1 at a gym up at a Rifle Correctional Facility, and is hiring our coaches for his gym, CrossFit Agogi, out in Montrose, Colorado. But without these affiliate owners stepping up to the plate and giving our guys a chance, like here at Decimate, Rudy, folks, he's one of our coaches. He's coached there now. Everybody at our gym knows our name and knows our program and loves it. And it's from the affiliate owners who really take a chance on our coaches. But we also develop some of the best coaches in the game. So we got to give a shout out to our coaches and our teams inside for developing the coaching that we do have. We continue to get out and continue to make strides and letting people know that we are developing great coaches and great human beings.
Hey, Audrey, you've been doing this 5 years?
Yeah, it'll be 5 years in October, I think.
Is it an emotional job, being that you were never on the inside and watching these stories filter around you?
It can be. It's really cool to just see the capacity for people to change and just the accountability. I've met numerous people who are some of the strongest character that I've ever met, and these are people who don't even have the opportunity to ever get out. And that can be really hard, because I feel like I have worked with several of these people for years, and you get to know them, you talk to them, you just get to know them as a person, and in your heart that if they had the opportunity, they would thrive, but that door is just closed, and that can be really difficult to deal with.
And when you mean thrive, you mean get out from behind bars and be a contributing member to society.
Yeah. There's several people that I feel very strongly, if they had that opportunity, they could get out and they could get a job and have a community and a family and do very well. But that's just unfortunately not an option as it stands.
Yeah. Is redemption growing at a fast rate, at a slow rate? What are some of the obstacles for redemption, Audrey, that you see of its growth?
Well, I think part of it is, we do have to work with DOC, so there are some interesting hurdles there in terms of getting into facilities, and fortunately now we've kind of gotten the momentum. When I first started, there was only 2. We were only in 2 facilities, and now we're in 10. Wow. So
all in
at
Colorado?
The beginning,
all in Colorado.
Yes.
Audrey? Okay.
Yeah. So, at the beginning, I think they were, maybe there was a little bit of side eye of like, you want to do what? I'm sorry. Like, no. And now that we've kind of proven ourselves and we're in a lot of places and they're seeing, our program and how it works and how it changes the culture, even outside of the program, they're a lot more willing to do so. And we've gotten interest from other states and even other countries in terms of wanting to start similar programs. And I think we just need the manpower and the funding to do it.
So the bureaucracy is significant.
Yeah, it can be. It definitely was in the beginning. I'm sure Trevor and Nick and some of our founding guys can talk about trying to get that first program off the ground and the interesting hurdles they had to overcome with that.
Has your perspective on I'm guessing that you never knew anyone who was ever in prison, had no association with prison or crime, that you were just an outstanding citizen living your life, and now you're just fully immersed in the whole system, whether it be the inside culture and the world that circles around it, in terms of like finances and government and bureaucracy and the commercialism of it. If that's true, and even if it's not true, could you tell me, but has your perspective on life changed?
I mean, I think I definitely feel like my compassion has grown and my understanding of, I think a lot of people will see things and think, okay, well, we'll just like lock them up and throw away the key and that's the solution, but it's really not, and it doesn't have to be. And if you give people the opportunity and the support, a lot of people do want to change and they just don't have the tools to do so. And if you just give them that little bit of time and that little bit of compassion and some resources, they can go very, very far.
Is the prison system in Colorado privatized, or is it run by the government?
It is. I think we have 2 private prisons in Colorado, and the rest are government run.
And do you guys work in just the government run ones?
Yeah. Correct. Yeah, we haven't been able to get into those private facilities.
And is there a reason for that, for the private ones? Is there anything you could share with me about the politics of getting into a private one versus one that's run by the state?
Maybe any of the guys can talk here, but from my understanding is they're just not really interested in bringing in programs. And they've just kind of shut the door on that. But I'm not sure if, Taylor, Trevor, Nick want to add in on that. It might have
Nick, do you have any thoughts on
better
that?
insight.
The difference, because I have some presuppositions. My thought is that if you have a private system, well, anywhere there's money changing hands, then all of a sudden you guys have become the product, right?
Yeah.
And so there's probably some resistance to lose product, right?
So, yeah, that's exactly it. Colorado did a lot of headway on getting rid of private prisons, which is I'm all for. I think private prison is a horrible ordeal when you're capitalizing on somebody else's incarceration.
Yeah.
You have no desire to have those people stay free. You want them to come in. You want that revolving door. And Colorado's done away with all their private prisons. We actually have a ton, but they are Alaska inmates, Arizona, California. They're all housed here, which has to be horrible as well for those guys that are living in those prisons. We do have
because their families can't visit them, right?
Yeah,
Like,
no, I mean, what's the incentive of being good? Because
so the state of Alaska would be like, hey, we're full. We have 10 guys. We're sending them down there. Here's 10 guys and $5 million.
There's a facility north of Denver called Hudson that's completely full of Alaskan inmates. So
wow.
But the two that are open, it's a long drawn out thing. You can watch a PBS special on like the water rights in Southern Colorado. It's kind of it's interesting, but the only reason they kept those two alive is because it feeds like Southeast Colorado. Those two prisons are the main employer of the people that live in those areas. And so it's a really
you're right. So you nailed it. It becomes economics.
It's economics.
Not about how to treat humans.
Look, at the end of the day, it's really long and drawn out. But yeah, the Colorado sold their water rights to the Arkansas River, which basically destroyed that southeast Colorado. And they have two prisons, Bent County and Crowley County, that basically serve as the source of income for the folks that live down there, instead of now agriculture, and which would be its top producer, but they sold the water rights. But yeah, getting into those private prisons has been a challenge. Starting an initiative inside it, because we're an inmate-led programming. Like we didn't have any outside help aside from like our foundation pushing for us, but getting the staff and the administration on board to letting us buy the equipment, start the program, and mentor other guys has just been a really hard feat. There's still guys doing CrossFit style that have been transferred to those prisons. In those prisons, we just don't have our program up and running like it is in all the other facilities.
So do they have to stop doing CrossFit if they go somewhere where there's not the program?
They're not going to stop no matter what. They're going to go out on their rec pools and still do CrossFit and do that. And like, they're going to have a group of guys doing it with them. They just don't have the time slots and the classes like you would see at any of our other Redemption Road affiliates. And to speak what Audrey was saying earlier, we did start with 2 facilities. We had 4 affiliates. We're up to 7. Since I've been out, we've added 3, and we're about to add another 3 affiliates. We're in the process of putting in the paperwork to come up to 10 affiliates that are operating classes every single day inside the Department of Corrections, which is outstanding. The goal is to have all 18 facilities on board, but 2 of those are privates. And so if we could get, right now we're exceeding any expectations that we had when we first started this program.
Do the guards participate, Nick? Do they work out?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started training staff. Well, it all started when we brought veterans into our program. We did a veterans event at Lyman where we invited every veteran, for either incarcerated and or staff, and we kind of did like a hero workout for them. And then individually, I think like Trevor was writing a lot of programming for staff members just to do on their own. And then we did our very first WADFest competition, the one I was speaking of earlier, we did at Lyman Correctional Facility to raise money for a staff gym. And so we donated all the funds from that program or from that event to raise money to build a staff gym that they could go work out at separate. And then we started hosting a class at night at Lyman where we could bring in staff members that were getting off shift or coming on shift. And it was from like basically 9:30, 10 o'clock at night till midnight. And we would just run them through programming. But a lot of the nurses, staff members, a lot of these rural towns don't have a CrossFit gym, and everybody wants to do CrossFit. So they just utilize our gym as their own home CrossFit box, which is really cool.
Trevor, you ever worked out with guards or staff there?
Definitely. We were able to do some. So the early days at Lyman, before I left there to go to Fremont, where I met Taylor and we got a program started up there. I was doing a lot of programming. Me, Damian, John, we were writing a lot of programming for some of the staff. They weren't quite allowed to do things with us just yet. Before I left, I think I did get to do a couple workouts with some of the staff over there at Lyman. And then when I got to Fremont and we got the program going, it was kind of becoming established as a practice.
You got transferred? Sorry, you got transferred to a different prison and started a program over there?
Yeah, so I had to leave Lyman. I didn't want to. But part of my transition to get out, I had to go to another facility. And I mean, it worked out great. Got to meet Taylor, which is, totally worth it. But so when I got to Fremont, there were some guys over there already doing CrossFit as much as they could. And they knew about our program and they've been trying to get it going. They just didn't have like the access and the traction that we had developed at Lyman yet.
You gravitated to those guys? Like how soon, like you go there and your first night there, when you wake up in the morning, you're like, where are the fucking CrossFitters? Is it like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a trip.
Yeah.
That's a trip. That's such a trip. Okay. You knew
for
those were
sure.
your people. You knew those were your people. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so when I got over there, Taylor and about 4 other guys, Michael Beebe, Michael Clark, Glenn Worley, Evan Lawler, these are like really good people, really good friends of mine still. We got together with the staff. We created a proposal to get Redemption Road Fitness Foundation started at Fremont. One of our former main volunteers came in, Chris Dong, who is a major
That's the
in
guy's
Space
name,
Force.
Chris Dong. Chris Dong.
Yeah, Chris Dong
That's
is
a great name. Sevon
It
Dong.
is a great name, right?
Oh my God.
Chris is
I've
a
changed my
great
last name to
dude.
Dong.
He
Sorry,
is
Audrey.
primary-
Sorry. I have a little bit
He's,
of 14-year-old boy in me. Sorry.
We all have that.
All right.
But with Chris's help, that program flourished. And right away, it was there were staff members, and there was a heavy presence of correctional industries, which is like a for-profit jobs that exist for inmates to go work in during the day, and then they it's like for profit, so the facility gets a benefit and then the industry gets a benefit. But there were guys, staff members from the industries that would come work out with us, or GED teachers, some staff. So we had kind of a mix of people who would show up to work out with us. And like you've heard it mentioned a couple of times about community, one of the biggest things we've always tried to do is break down the barriers that split people up inside and kind of out here now as well. But race, politics, gangs, the green and blue, we wear green in Colorado as inmates. So the green and blue barrier, we were trying to cross all those and help everyone see it doesn't matter what race you were, what your crime was, where you work. Like if you want to come be a part of this, you are super welcome. And then when you sit there and suffer through a CrossFit workout with someone, you feel their pain and you feel very connected to them in a different way than just seeing them, in passing or in a professional setting.
You saw relationships change between inmates and guards through the workouts?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Very significant culture shift happened during those days.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a magic. I think Glassman said it's a magic.
It's crazy. It's just like you're working out next to someone and like prior to the workout you've done nothing but shake their hand and meet them, and afterwards you're laying there and all barriers are down. What are you doing afterwards? What'd you eat? What's your you start talking about their family. It's just nuts.
That's exactly it. It's beautiful.
Were you gonna say something, Taylor?
Yeah, I remember the first episode that we had. John said something. He said that back in like the Jurassic period, if we're running from T-Rexes, I don't care what race you are, you know what I mean? What your whatever, right? Your preferences are, like, we got to get to safety and we got to find food, right?
Yeah.
Like all that other stuff is just like, it's up to luxury to be, have your prejudices and things like that. And so, when we're on the floor sweating together and both of us are doing the same workout and, that relative intensity makes us suffer the same. It doesn't matter if you're wearing blue. It doesn't matter if I'm wearing green. We're both feeling the same thing. And that kind of breaks down like that divide or that line in the sand that you quite literally almost always feel, other than when you're on that gym floor together, and then it kind of dissipates after that, right? Now there still is professionalism and things like that that you need to keep in consideration, but it makes it easier. Say if there is an instance or a situation outside of the gym that takes place, makes it easier for you to be a mediator for the situation, because you know this person is a person, even though they're wearing blue, and then they see you as more of a person now, right? They see you as, oh man, this dude taught me how to deadlift well, right? He showed me what a thruster was, which was super cool. I didn't know what that was because all I do is, 5 sets of 5 on the bench before I met you guys. And I'm still a fan of 5 sets of 5 on the bench. Don't get it twisted, but being able to teach people all the above is fantastic. And it kind of helps the situation break down the tension that is almost always there. And so it makes this ease of like your life and their life a little nicer when we have this affiliate that's running classes for staff as well as GP and general population and stuff like that. So it's cool.
It's sincere conversation also. It's not forced. It's like real. It's you know what I mean? Like if a guard making small talk to you or you making small talk to a guard, probably people's spidey senses are up. What's he doing? What's he manipulating? What's the point? As opposed to, dude, how did you last week you couldn't bench 200, now you bench 225. What are you doing? And then like the guy's seriously looking for a tip, right, on where to put his hands, and so right away you have some form of sincerity. What happened to John Taylor? I know when he was on the show, he was doing life, and I was fascinated with how a human being could get their head wrapped around accepting that. Is there any chance of him getting out, or what's he up to?
So I tried to email and get Brandon and John on this podcast, but sadly the climate sometimes is just hot and cold, and right now we just hit it at a time that it's a little more cold, so they weren't able to make it. But John's doing his thing, so is Brandon. Brandon will eventually get out. John does have life, and I don't know if I'm able to answer that question as far as how to wrap my head around that. Like Trevor could possibly do that, or even Nick, because both of them had closer. I had like a 30-year sentence, so I knew that one day I was going to be out, which was nice. And John is one of the coolest people in the sense that he still does what he needs to do and looks at his environment in the best paradigm possible. And he just states that, God placed him here for a reason. And, if the time comes where he's able to get let out, then he will do what he needs to do when he gets let out. But until then, he's going to do the work that he needs to do while he's in there. And so he just keeps doing the work, There's good days, there's bad days. But
he actually explained the process on the show of how he did it. And I was like, man, you should write this down. And then I was like, hey, does the corrections department give you any tools on how to, and he said, no. And I'm like, well, since you figured it out, you should formalize that. You should write that down or make an audio tape or something. So guys who get life can be like, hey, this is how I did it. This is how I was able to, manage the psychological component of being held captive for your remaining days on Earth. I mean, is there a chance of him getting out? Do any of you guys know anything? Is there hope of it?
I mean, there's hope. There's clemency like mine. So my attorney actually has taken up representing both Brandon Cruiser and John Willis.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
So she went and met those guys. Brandon's going to get out eventually, no matter what, but she's really focused on John's. There's timelines. There's before you can apply for clemency, you have to do 20 years straight with a first degree murder or a life without charge. You have to wait the 20 years. And so that's coming up next year for him, I believe. And so they've been working tirelessly on his clemency petition right now, but have to wait to file it until that 20-year mark. Brandon's been up. I went to the governor on his behalf last year. We met with their attorneys. Matt Frazier went to bat for him on his Instagram.
Wow.
He has a really good relationship with Matt. They talk like weekly.
Wow.
He's offered him jobs at HWPO and to train him for the games. He's a really great athlete. And so they do really have good chances. Brandon has a really good chance, maybe even a higher chance than John. But at the same time, I believe what John's done with his time will shine through and that he'll get it as well. But I'm also super optimistic. I know those guys, through and through. And that's the thing, right? When you look at someone's crime and you can say, hey, this person did this, this, and this, you don't know that person. When you live next door to that person, like what I explained to the governor on Brandon's behalf is that I've seen Brandon on his good days and his bad days. Like, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Like, I've wanted to, like, beat up Brandon myself. But we've lived next to each other. We're like brothers, and so I've lived next door to him. I've seen his good days. I've seen his bad days. I've seen Trevor's good days, his bad days, and they've also seen mine, and we're the ones that can give you the best representation of what that person's like on a day-to-day basis. And they both deserve to be free. They both at this, like, I think Trevor hit it best when we started this conversation, that there's a ton of guys and ladies doing time inside prison that have totally transformed their life and have had that paradigm shift and are actively seeking better and bettering the men and women around them. And so at this point, holding them is just a burden on the taxpayer, but also it's just about punishment. It's not about correction anymore. And so there's got to be a fine line. And so one of our case managers, Mr. Milburn, he's the one that helped me get out. He's really focused on, there's an aspect in our government where the governor can give you a different parole date. He has the absolute power to do that. And so it's not like a clemency, it's just changing your parole date. And so we're trying to work a process where you can get a hearing for that.
Like you get a 5-minute Fran time and you get a hearing.
Yeah, you get sub 4 minutes on Fran, you automatically get clemency. No.
Yeah.
So no, it's there's a process that we're trying to figure out, and that he's absolutely trying to figure out. And he's retired now, but he's dedicated his time to try to make that a formal process. But yeah, so John and Brandon are great. I think that they deserve to be out. I would stake my freedom on it, that they would never reoffend. And I'm sure every guy, Taylor and Trevor, would do the same here. But yeah, I mean, I believe that they will get out. I believe John will eventually get clemency as well.
Taylor has my phone number. Taylor, feel free to pass it around. I probably get like 500 texts a day. I'm not great at returning them, but I would like to, any events you guys have, any way you could leverage the podcast, anytime you guys want to come on for like just 5 or 10 minutes. The show isn't like a normal podcast. It's more like Sesame Street. People come on, people come off, and it's a fun place. And as you guys know, the CrossFit community is great. So anytime you guys have something upcoming, or you want to share it, or you want to tell a story, like you got, there's shows where, like, I'll have like 5 or 6 people parade through here. And so please, it was too long to be separated from this story. It's probably the most, one of the most compelling veins that runs through this podcast. People bring up the show all the time. And so, yeah, don't hesitate to text me Ryan Garcia memes or just whatever. Stay in contact. This show's every morning at 7 a.m. There's also a phone number that usually runs across the bottom. You can call in, or you can text me and I'll send you a link, and you can pop on and be like, dude, we're doing this event in Colorado on this day. And we can just shoot the shit about it for 5 minutes. It doesn't even have to be a full-blown show like this.
Sweet.
But
I'm gonna hop on and get on this chat. I've been watching the chat the entire time. And
they're savage.
It's been
I apologize.
Man.
Yeah,
no, it's cool.
Yeah.
Like, I love it. I actually.
They're all closeted stand-up comics. The whole
for sure. Everybody's a comedian.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't have to switch to my phone, because I would have been hitting them back right away this entire time. The one guy did ask though if I was at the Purple Mountain Throwdown this weekend, and absolutely, I was there. The entire time. My 2 workout partners, I train with these ridiculously fit chicks, which they keep me fit, right?
I know them? Do I know them?
I don't know.
Gabby, are they a couple? Are the girls a couple?
No, they're not a couple. Ashlyn Slovic and Gabby McClellan, but they ended up taking first over the weekend. And so I was there cheering them on. We had about 12 athletes from Decimate perform at that 2-day comp, and it was a lot of fun. So to answer, I think it was Jake's question, yes, I was there.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah, please. Were you going to say something, Taylor, before we jump off?
Yeah. I was gonna say
Go
with that, I will text you because we're gonna be. Are you gonna be at the CrossFit Games, of course, right?
We'll see. We're going through the media process now, and like I'm like a prima donna. Like I have really special needs in order to go there, and so I'm not
You
sure if
have
they're.
lime in your water. Like
I just
certain
need
kinds of waters.
No, I just need access to everything. I can have no limitations.
Okay.
Well, we're going to be there.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
I'll text you.
Yeah.
I hear in the comments that you never return a text message, which is totally cool. But I'll save your number nonetheless.
And
we'll
please
be texting you.
please share it. Please share it with Nick and Trevor and Audrey. And seriously, I love having people on. I love knowing that someone's only coming on for 15 minutes or 10 minutes. Makes me feel so good that like I don't have to deal with them for longer than that. So you guys are always welcome for 5 or 10.
And I would like to just plug, like, all of our emails are like Nick at rf2.org, Taylor at rf2, Audrey or Trevor at rf2.org. If you have any questions, especially if you want to donate, like I'm not even shameless. Like we need money to produce our program. And so if you feel like giving $5, send us we have Venmo and PayPal. So hit us up.
Yeah.
And our website is
go ahead.
rf2.org. I was just going to give the website is rf2.org.
Oh yeah. rf2.org.
And so that's really how I'd like to like support you guys. Like anytime you guys have an event, just let me know and I'll start chattering about it, or you guys can come on and shoot the shit about it.
Yeah, right on.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. Have a great day. Great to see you all again. Thanks for your time. You guys are all really cool cats.
Right on. Thanks, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Ron. You're a cool cat too, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Ciao.
Ciao.
There he is, Caleb. There you are, buddy. I don't know why. As soon as I see you pop on in the back, my butthole unclenches.
I could see it visually.
Oh, you could?
You just relax a little bit.
I saw you pop on in the back. I'm like, great show, Seven. Thank you. I have to. I wish we had time to start a poll. I'd be like, how many of you think David's done prison time? It's a good poll, right?
That is a good poll. I'm going to be in the yes column for that one.
Me too. Me too. All right. No, I wanted to ask that guy what was his favorite part about Rich Froning's book.
Oh yeah, I forgot that Rich wrote a book. So when he talked about how he read first, I was like, what is first? I didn't know what he was talking about. I read that book too, actually.
How is it?
It's pretty good. It's pretty generic, you know. Like I think somebody probably helped him write it, and they were just like, "Yeah, I won the games," and it was great. And I worked really hard.
How many books does he have?
I think at maybe 2.
So you basically learn about him, but it's kind of like there's no like crazy thread in there. There's no tension.
Not really.
It's like a giant wiki article on Rich. I need to listen to the book.
Yeah, pretty much. Here you go.
I'm pretty sure I bought the audiobook. 4.5 star. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good book. It's just what you kind of expect.
Look, Marissa. Hanohosa. She has the book. She didn't say she's read it. She just has it.
It's on the shelf.
Caleb, why are you allowed so much scruff? Aren't you active while in the class? Great question.
It's called a shaving waiver. Got to get you
really?
one of those. Yeah, man.
Do you really have a shaving waiver?
Hell yeah.
If I bust open your file, it's like Caleb Beaver, 6'3", shaving waiver.
That's right.
Damn.
Got to, right? Can't just be shaving every day.
Did you apply for that?
Hell yeah, I did, dude.
That's awesome, dude.
Hell yeah. As soon as I was like, damn, I'm getting some crazy. Like I would get really bad, like I shouldn't say really bad, but I get some like razor burn and shit under my neck. So finally, plus I worked in the med group, so like they would see it every day, and they're like, "You want a shaving waiver?" Like hell yeah, dude.
Hey, has anyone ever come up to you and been like, "Soldier, you need to shave," and you're like, "Shaving waiver"? That's
100%.
happened
all the time.
Wow.
It happens at least once a week.
Do you feel like a pussy when you say it?
No.
No.
Hell no.
Oh.
You're like, I got a shaving waiver, dude. And they're like, let me see it. And I like,
oh, really?
Yeah, I have to like carry it with me. So I have like, I need to laminate it. I'll need a laminated copy. But
that's amazing.
Yeah, dude. It's awesome. It's
Have
the
you
greatest
ever
thing
called
I've ever
some?
done.
Do you are you what are you? Are you like a? Do you have an E? Are you an E something?
Yeah, I'm an E4.
Are you allowed to
Cool
ask
guy.
E1, 2, 3s if they're if you see them unshaved?
I could, but I mean, I don't care. I don't care. It's like if you're unshaved, be like, damn, that sucks. Somebody's gonna be pissed at you. It's not gonna be me though.
But you could walk up to a dude and be like that you know is like an E1 and be like, hey, what's up with your face, dude?
Yeah, I could. I've done that a few times. Just like we've been in a class setting and like an instructor, like we have instructors and like they could fuck us up for it. So I'd be like, hey, did you shave today? And they'd be like, no. I'd be like, all right, well, you need to go do that or else everybody's gonna get fucked.
Everyone will. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But if it's like you're just like I see you at work and you didn't shave, I'm like, well, if the commander walks by, it's not on me, dude. That's a you problem.
What's that girl doing in your bed? I got a pussy waiver. Oh,
that's right.
Let me see it. All right, I'm off to surf camp.
Sick.
Thanks for coming on. What's today? Wednesday? Thursday,
actually.
Man, I have a crazy live call-in show lined up. I have so much crazy shit.
When are we gonna do one?
I don't know. I'm excited. I'm looking at the calendar now. Oh, tomorrow. Are you? What's your schedule like tomorrow?
Probably the same. I'll probably come on after like 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay, I'll try to do a really long show so we can hang out.
All right, let's do it.
All right, thanks, everyone. I don't know what's going on today, but you should check out all the cool shows. Oh, Trump Biden tonight. Are you gonna watch that?
Oh, yeah, dude. Hell yeah, I'm watching that.
Greg's having a party at his house. I'm pretty pumped.
Sweet.
Excuse me. All right, I got to take the kids to surf camp, and then I'm going out on Greg's boat. I will talk to you soon, everyone. After you talked about sharks yesterday, I'm a TikTok feed have been all sharks. Oh. All right. Love you guys.